Hey YouTube, this is Jaden Stormcountry from Team Shadow Strike, and I know, guys, it's been another long period since I posted for you guys. And as I said on my wall, guys, I've been crazy busy. I just haven't had time to record, and I've actually had very little time for Vanguard. I've only been up to the days that I did get to go to my locals. I was still pretty wiped out while being there, but I've learned that I need to have that one day set aside where I do something that is completely irrelevant to life, like Vanguard is, and it's because it gives me a release, from work, school, because school's really picked up, guys. It's gotten a whole lot more stressful, and it's just a lot of other things going on in my life right now that are just kind of hard to deal with at the moment. So Vanguard's kind of like my escape from it, and that's why I still make sure on those days that I get to go to my locals and hang out, because it's needed. So anyway, guys, now that Nationals is over, and one of my other videos that will be posted next time I do a mass upload, because it's been a while. One thing that I have been trying to do is just kind of experiment with fun decks. Not things that are going to be obviously meta, and so I just decided to kind of build a fun Kagero deck that I would just mess around with at first and just see if it sticks. And I did that I made this deck literally last Friday, before I went to my locals on that Saturday. I didn't play test with it at all. I said I'm just going to use what knowledge I have, and I'm going to slap the deck together. I'm not even going to play test it for the tournament. I'm just going to go in blind, and I'm going to see how I do. And I ended up going XO with it. And then I was like, okay, it was a small tournament. It was smaller that Saturday, so I'll try Monday. Monday it went, let's see, I don't think I ended up splitting the first place prize with my friend Christian, because we got all the way to finals, and teammate Christian, because it was late, I was hungry, I was tired, I still had a 45-minute drive home, and I had to work the next day. So, and plus the last thing me and Christian need is another match between each other, because between me, Christian, and Sam, sometimes playing is pointless because we know each other's decks just as good as each other. So, but this deck has only played against Christians once, but I tried to build it based on what I knew the meta is right now. And what the meta is right now, I will get more into in my meta discussion video, but this deck and this build, it works very well against the meta, and what makes it unique is I tried to find a way to make Dragonic Blademaster competitive. And this was the best version of the deck that I could come up with, and I've had success with it at 2 locals. I'm going to probably play it again tomorrow, because today I'm filming this on another Friday, July 31st. So I'm going to just get straight into this, and I'll explain everything. So here we go. So for the starting Vanguard, I play Dragon Knight Sajay. I think that's how you say it. Basically, his ability is whenever one of your opponent's rear guards is retired, you shove them in the soul, and they have to retire another rear guard. And it's by effect, not by battle or effect. It has to be specifically by effect. I like this card for a multitude of reasons. You can do some pretty cool things with Root Flare with him, so I like it just for that reason, and it's free, and it's a 5k boost, so normally I can slide him off to the side, and he's good for that. So we play 4 Demonic Dragon Mage Apalala, because it is my favorite Kagero crit trigger. Actually, when we went to regionals for Team League and qualified for Nationals, I went over to the vendor and I bought them out of this card. You should have seen the woman's face. And then for the other crit is we play 4 Dragon Knight Janat. This is the new Kagero critical trigger that came in set 3. That's like all the others, but if Blademaster is my Vanguard and he attacks, I can shove this in the soul, he gets 5k, and I get to draw a card. So next we play 4 Gatling Claw, because it is the best draw trigger in the game. Nothing more to say there. And then we play our 4 lovely Kagero heal triggers. You can play the original Dragon Monk if you want, but those 4 are my favorite, so that's what I play. 4 Protect Orbs for our Perfect Guards, just because this build flips you will counterblast quite frequently, especially if you're on Blademaster, so the need to unflip is there, so we play this to help facilitate more counterblasts. 3 Lava Flow Dragon. This is our card to search out Blademaster, because in certain matches I'd like to ride Blademaster first because of his stride ability, and we can pitch this from our hand to stride. So, good card. Next we play 3 Dragon Mage Gyakuryu. This card is really good because Generation Break 1, anytime one of your opponent's rear guards is retired due to a card effect, he gets 5,000 power. So if this is on your field and you use Blademaster Stride skill and you use Root Flare to destroy 2 units, so 3 units total, 1 on the field and then 2 in a full column, he gets 15,000 power and he becomes a 21,000k boost. So he can get very big very quick. Next we play 3 Energy Flame Athonics. Again, the same reason we play the G Perfect, because it helps us unflip damage. Anytime a card is retired by a card effect, you shove him in the soul and unflip 2 damage. So, and then for the last card, it's kind of just a tech that I wanted to see how it worked, and actually is testing pretty well, and that's 1 Lizard Soldier Belrog. It is a grade 1 promo from Set 3, the promo packs. Basically, Generation Break 1, whenever you use this to guard, your Vanguard gains the ability, if your opponent's attack that was directed at your Vanguard did not hit, you may retire one of their units that are at rest. So it's really cool because it'll catch your opponent off guard, and I only play him at 1. I wouldn't play him any more than at 2. And if you didn't want to play the 1 Belrog, you could play a 4th copy of any of the 3 of these, or you could play 1 Calamity Tower, or you could play one of the Soul Blast 2 on Flip 2. It's kind of just up to you. Grade 2 units, we play 3 copies of one of my favorite Kagero cards, and that is Dragonic Neoflame. Basically, whenever this unit is called on the rear guard, during that turn, if any unit in the column across from it is retired, you may counterblast 1 and retire another unit in that column. So essentially, you can wipe out an entire column for 1 counterblast, so long as one of the units in front of him disappears, either by battle or by card effect. So, next we play 3 copies of Twilight Arrow Dragon. This card is a really good card for Kagero in general, because normally how Kagero always was meant to be played is you kind of just had to wait until your opponent started falling into the trap of flooding their field. He allows you to be a little bit more offensive control-ish at the same time, because he can attack and retire another unit at the same time. So this is a really, really good card. You could play 4 if you want, but I just wanted to leave myself with as many options as I wanted, so I played it at a number to where I'm going to see him almost every single game, and to where I can play other things. Next, I play 3 copies of Dragon Knight Emad. This is a new card from Set 3. A very good card, so I'll just go ahead and read him for you. Generation Break 1. When your opponent's rearguard in the same column as this unit is put into the drop zone due to a card effect from one of your cards, you may pay the cost of Counterblast 1. If you do, until the end of the turn, this unit gets plus 2,000, and the auto ability of, at the beginning of the damage step of the battle that this unit attacked a Vanguard, if the number of your opponent's Guardians is 1, if the number of your opponent's Guardians is 1, choose one of your opponent's Guardians, retire it, and that unit's effect cannot be hit or nullified. So basically what this means is if you're swinging and your opponent normally would only have to use 1 card to guard against it, they have to drop a second, or you can pick that 1 card off and the attack goes through. So it's kind of like a mini shield break. So if your opponent normally would perfect guard this attack, they have to lay down another card in the Guardian Circle just to prevent you from picking a card off. So this card can steal you a game or 2 every now and then. It's stolen me a couple already. I wouldn't play him at 4, and honestly I've thought of dropping him to 2 and playing a 4th Neoflame or Twilight, but he is good. And then for the last grade 2, I play 2 Wyvern Strike Doha. He's basically just your standard 10k vanilla, just to ride as your Vanguard if you get him. So if I thought about dropping 1 EMAD and going to even a 3rd Doha, but it's really whatever you're most comfortable with. But so far, this build is working really well. Next for the grade 3s is we play 4 copies of Dragonic Blademaster. So this card came out in G1, and it was kind of an afterthought because in G1 we also got the Cross, and Cross is just more popular than Blademaster, and for the obvious reason that it's a Dragonic Overlord support, and Dragonic Overlord is the head of Kagero, so he's always going to get the most love. But I do gotta say, I've always liked Blademaster. I like the look, I like the name, and I told myself I was gonna find a way to make this in a deck to where I liked it, and this build works, and I have a second build I'm working on that I'll share with you guys once I get it finalized. But this card is very, very good, and he's also very cheap. So if you're looking for a good, cheap Kagero deck to play, and you're a Kagero player and you just don't have the money to spend on maybe the Cross or something like that, Blademaster is a good backup. I mean, yeah, it's only a double rare, but I'm actually, next time I get paid, I'm going to get 4 SPs of this card just because I love this card now. But his abilities are Generation Break 2. If you have more units than your opponent does, or more rear guards than your opponent does, he gets plus 5k in a crit. Well, that's pretty easy to do with Kagero. And his second ability is whenever you stride onto him, you may counterblast 1 and retire any unit on your opponent's side of the field. So, good card. And then for the last grade 3, you guys probably guessed it, but I play 4 copies of Perdition Emperor Dragon, Dragonic Overlord, the Great. So, basically Legions with Neo Flame, attack a rear guard, counterblast 1, discard 2, restand. You know, I mean, I'm guessing by this point everyone knows what the Great does. But basically the ideal is to get on Blademaster, pick your opponent's field apart, leave him with just about absolutely nothing, get him to 5 damage or 4, you know, at minimum, and then go into the Great, and just try and push for the win. I mean, that's pretty much what the deck is supposed to do, and it works pretty well. And every single time that I don't have the Great in my hand and I want him to ride over Blademaster and go into Legion, he always seems to pop up in my hand. So it's fun. I mean, it's a fun deck. I almost considered playing Dragonuit instead of the Great, but Dragonuit is a counterblast 2 and ditch a specific card, so you'd have to play at least 3 of his mate, and in this build particularly, he wouldn't ever get hit. The 12k attacker would always be just a 9k vanilla, so I decided to stick with the Great. But it's working well for me, and I'm having a lot of fun with it at the moment. So. Then for the Stride Zone, or Stride deck, whatever you want to call it, we play 3 Divine Dragon Knight Mahmud, basic Kagero G unit. Whenever his attack hits a Vanguard, you may retire 1 unit. 4 Root Flare. Basically, if you have 2 face-up cards in your G zone, after you Persona Flip, you can retire a column. You know, it's pretty stupid. And then we play the 1 Blizza. So the only thing that I would take is I would take the Blizza and 1 Mahmud and make these Ace, but I don't have any Ace yet. I'm going to get some. But that's pretty much it, guys. That's the only change that I would make to this, is literally just get 2 copies of the Ace. But that's it. So, guys, that is my Dragonic Blade. What I've been calling this, because I like to name all my decks, is I've just been calling this Dragonic Control, or Blademaster Control, I guess. But it's a lot of fun. I enjoy the deck very much. It's been nice. You know, the one thing I've been really looking forward to is just being able to try out a lot of different things, since now we're finally at a downtime for Vanguard and we don't have another major tournament until October, so I'm just been trying new things. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the deck profile. I certainly enjoyed bringing it to you, so if you have any other ideas of decks that you guys would like to see, feel free to always suggest it, and if I can do that for you guys, I always try to do the best I can. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you leave a like and a comment and some criticism or suggestions, as long as it's, you know, polite. So anyway, guys, thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.